Here's the challenge. I have 24 hours to recreate the League of Legends client from scratch. For this to be considered a success, there's 3 things that we need. 1. The ability to queue up and get into a match of solo queue. 2. The ability to chat to my friends from inside the client. And 3. Some sort of feature that doesn't actually exist inside of the real League client. I haven't decided exactly what yet. So let's begin. Nearly all of my previous coding experience is with JavaScript, TypeScript, and the React Web framework, so naturally I'm not going to use any of that. For this project, we're going to be using Golang for the backend and something called HTMX for the front end. Now, you might be asking, hey, isn't it kind of stupid to be using a programming language and a framework that you've never used before in a challenge where speed is the most important factor? So, right off the bat, we can get to creating a button that will queue us up for a game, knocking off the easiest of our 3 tasks, and while I'm coding this, I'm going to tell you some fun facts about how the League client actually works. The League client is a glorified Google Chrome window. I'm not joking, the technology used to create the League client is called Chromium. This allows the developers at Riot to create the front end of the client, that's what you see, using languages like HTML and JavaScript, which is the same as what you'll see in about 95% of websites on the internet. Other apps like Discord and Spotify also use a similar approach, but there is one issue with this. It kind of sucks and is shit. Okay, it's not actually that bad, but basically what's happening is you're getting a bit of upfront speed so you can develop quicker, but later on the product is going to be bigger, slower, and eat up all of your RAM. Now, some of you might be asking, hey, can't you just get AI to write all this code for you? I don't want to, it's not fun. Now that everyone in the comments that was about to say something about ChatGPT is deleting their comment and instead asking me what happened to the button we were making, let's go over to that. Success. Alright, so, okay, how does this even work? What you see every time you boot up the client is the front end, but for the front end to do anything, it needs to communicate with a back end. You click a button, the button calls the back end, and then within the back end, all of the magic happens. This is all hidden from you when you're browsing the client normally, but it is happening under the hood in the background, and there are thousands of what we call API endpoints that allow us to do all of the cool stuff that we need to do to make the client actually work. There's even some endpoints that exist that you can only use if you make your own client, but I'm not sure if I'm allowed to talk about it. There are some wonderful programs like this one here called Needlework that allow us to explore all of the potential endpoints and make test calls to them so we can translate that into our code. But enough explanation for now, let's get into our next feature. We can get into a pre-game lobby, but once we're in the lobby, we need to actually be able to do things like pick a champion and ban a champion and so on. After some exploring and writing a bit more shitty code, we're able to display all of the champions in the lobby. However, the API endpoint that returns information about the lobby doesn't actually tell you the names of the champions, because why would it? Why would it be easy? Instead, it tells you their IDs, which are just numbers, and we have to deduce what champions they correlate to, which is a little bit of a speed bump. In fact, this entire pre-game lobby is where things begin to take a turn for the worse and get a little bit difficult. Okay, so the API for the pre-game lobby doesn't return everything we need, so in order to display the correct champion names, we need to ask the server to give us info about the lobby, get the IDs of the champions, use those IDs to call another API endpoint, get the champion names from that endpoint, and then combine them all together in our backend before we send it to our custom front end to ensure all the names are correct. But eventually we did get something that sort of slightly resembles a working, well, I mean, it works. It works, but it looks like shit. We were now up to the point where we got to pick and ban our champions, and this is where I saw an opportunity for the first real big improvement over the original League client, and trust me, it is a very big improvement. In the existing client, during the ban phase, you see the entire champion list, you choose one of them, and then you click again to ban it. This is inefficient. In my version of the League client, you choose a champion that you'd like to ban. The server-side code then checks that champion ID against the database, and if the chosen champion isn't Mel, it gives you a chance to redo your ban. If you decide that you want to still ban your original choice, it discards that choice and goes ahead and bans Mel for you anyway. Much more efficient. Now, with all of this in place, we can mark off the first item on our checklist and move on to item 2, which is chat functionality. And specifically something that I want to include is the ability to see and chat to your friends while you're in a pre-game lobby. For this setup, we need to make a container on the right side of our screen and then find the route that returns all of our friends and display it in a list. Why is my friends list leaving? If they're online, it displays their status as chat, and if they're in a game, it displays D&D, and so on, and we can use this to start separating our friends list out into separate sections. Next, we actually want to be able to talk to them, so we need to make these things clickable, and when we click on them, we can call the API that shows us the conversation. And just like that, we've got something that is almost working. This part was actually a bit suspicious, because everything I was doing here was working the first time. Obviously, that means that something much more serious was wrong, and I just couldn't find it yet. There's probably still a bug in there somewhere, but I couldn't find it, and I still haven't. So to celebrate, I made a feature that sends my friend 200 messages per second. Now at this point, I had about 1 hour of time left, and I wanted to make things look a little bit fancier. So I went and borrowed this code from a website for fancy React animations, converted this to JavaScript, and I honestly don't know what any of this is doing, if I'm being honest, which is, doesn't matter. But anyway, after fiddling, we ended up with this. So not exactly what I was looking for actually, but I did a bit more tweaking and we landed on this. Does it look good? Not really, but I mean for 24 hours it's not completely terrible. I also played around with a few different backgrounds to see what it looked like. And now for the moment of truth. Can we actually use this to get into a game of League of Legends? Quite nervous to do this. Let's see if it works. Let's send a message first to, make sure. Hey buddy. Something's flashing. Oh, I forgot I left that in. Okay, I can't even, oh my god, I think I actually got blocked from replying. Oh my god, I'm sorry, Drew Levin, I'm so sorry. Are we, oh no, okay. We haven't accounted for that actually happening. We're just going to refresh the queue and we're back in, it looks like. Okay, that's not bad. Oh, queue pop. All right, I don't know why this one specifically is busted, but it seems like when we accept, the animation is actually working. Hopefully we can get into champ select. Oh my god. One of the downsides of doing a project like this, and the reason that no one has actually made like a full custom client before, is for any of this to work, you actually need the real League client open anyway, so it sort of like defeats the purpose of, I mean, like you can still use this, but it's like you can't just open this and then use it. Nice, queue pop. Let's accept, oh my god, we're in. We are in. I don't know why the redirect to champ select didn't work, but that's alright. I'm just going to manually put myself there and not worry about that. Who do I want to ban? Heimerdinger? My bans aren't working! Who is the champion I want to play? Cannon. Ah. And we're in. Easy as that. That was so simple. It ran into like no bugs at all. That concludes our fully custom League of Legends client. Riot Games, you know where to find me.